So let's start with the first one, Bitcoin price. The price is a little over 9,500, or at least I checked right before our call. What are your thoughts on kind of the fluctuation, why it increased and where it's headed and why?
Yeah, so usually prices are determined by supply and demand, and Bitcoin is limited by supply, even though we're over halfway there as far as the total Bitcoins being made. But given the fact that there's very little of that Bitcoin is actually being used for transactions, there's a lot of speculation going on. And so in the short term, I think what's happening is Bitcoin is susceptible to volatility whenever there's a major move made in the trading of Bitcoin. I think over time, I see Bitcoin as its utility and use cases increase and becomes more accessible, that volatility will eventually smooth out. And because of its limited production, it's kind of like gold. You know, when you know there's going to be a set amount in the world and people want it, that increases the price. So I see Bitcoin rising over time and escaping some of this short-term volatility.
Good thing you said was the growth of branded cryptos like Libra. Good or bad? What do you think? Is this the future of crypto?
I think it's one of the futures. So the curious thing about Facebook's Libra is that it does affirm the notion that I've had for quite a while, and that is that these private branded cryptocurrencies, which are in essence on a private blockchain, I think those will be the ones that get adopted by the public much more quickly than public cryptocurrencies, cryptocurrencies on the public blockchain like Bitcoin or Litecoin. And the reason why is, in this case, just say, for example, Amazon. Amazon, you already buy and sell. And, they have an Amazon coin, which is like a reward token at this point. But once they evolve that into a currency within the Amazon economy, people will start using it because they already buy and sell. And this makes it a lot easier. So I think Libra supports the notion that these private cryptocurrencies that are branded within an economy, those are the ones that people are going to use first. I think Libra has some special issues with that. I think one is the trust of Facebook, their mismanagement of private information, I think lends extra regulatory scrutiny on Facebook's Libra, which is why I think he had a number of these congressional hearings about it. If Facebook mismanages your personal information that you put on the site, are they going to mismanage the financial information they're collecting on you by how you use Libra? So I think Facebook itself has some issues, but the broader concept of a private sector branded cryptocurrency, I think that has large growth potential this early in the development of cryptocurrencies.
Do you think Facebook is doing a good job of addressing the privacy issues that you mentioned?
I think they are doing the best job that they can in a very difficult environment. They have a credibility problem going into this even before Libra. And don't forget, Facebook has tried to have their own private cryptocurrency or money transfer system twice before, and it failed. And it failed for several reasons. One is the technology wasn't as developed as it is now. But second, it's just the notion of, okay, shall I use one of Facebook's apps to communicate with one another? Does that make me naturally want to transfer money on that? I don't want to transfer money via my cell phone right now. Whenever I use a call, I don't think about, because I can make a call, I can also transfer money. So that is the purpose behind Libra, is initially to move money transfer token. And so I just don't think that the unbanked, which is the target of Libra, they're thinking whenever they use their Facebook's communication app, that an unbanked person's thinking, this is a cheaper way than Western Union to transfer money. So I think there's a number of problems going into Facebook, but I think the concept as it applies to what Amazon's doing, what Starbucks might be doing, what Walmart wants to do, all those things are all those private branded cryptocurrencies that are in development. Those have real potential.
Last thing you mentioned is near and dear to OmniSparks' heart, because we're all about building community. So I'm interested in getting your thoughts on increased isolation and loneliness in society, the negative impact, and how you see cryptos, decentralized networks, as a way to kind of harness and develop community and kind of help to solve this.
So I come at this from mostly a public policy perspective, and there's been 3 books published, written by some favorite authors and friends of mine. One is Ben Sass's book, Them. Another one is Oz Guinness, wrote a book called The Last Call for Liberty. David Brooks also wrote a book, and they all basically deal with the same theme. And the theme is our society is becoming even more fractured, more individualized. It's us and them. And the question is, what can we do to bring people together and at least have civil discourse, if not be united among some common principles? And so when I take that look in the political world, I see the same thing happening in the tech world, that technology has enabled us to become, everything is individualized. Pandora, I can set up my own personal radio station, news sources, I can get news from the sources that I want versus a wide variety of sources, etc. And I think all those things help destroy community instead of making community stronger. And so in the tech world, one of the reasons why I am an advisor to OmniSparks is I just love the notion of taking the current technological environment, which devolves into individualism, and then how do you then bring those individuals back into a thriving community? And so there's not many companies that are thinking in terms of this, but OmniSparks is. That's one reason why I advise them.